NASA says Voyager 1, humanity's most distant spacecraft, has detected movement in the void of interstellar space. But this isn't the drift of cosmic dust or the slow rotation of distant stars. This is something deliberately changing course, accelerating, and moving in patterns that violate our understanding of physics. Even more disturbing, the object appears to be following Voyager, matching its trajectory through the darkness between stars. Did our lonely probe just encounter alien technology in the depths of space? Or has Voyager stumbled into something that's been traveling through the galaxy long before humanity ever looked up at the stars? In the fall of 2023, Dr. Elena Martinez was conducting routine analysis of Voyager 1 Fun's plasma wave data when she noticed something that shouldn't exist. The spacecraft, now over 15 billion miles from Earth, drifting through the interstellar medium where our sun's influence fades to nothing, had detected a disturbance. Not the kind of gentle fluctuations you'd expect from cosmic rays or solar wind remnants, but something sharp, defined, and directional. At first, Dr. Martinez thought it was interference, a glitch in the 46-year-old spacecraft's aging sensors. Voyager's instruments were designed in the 1970s, built with technology that predated personal computers. After nearly half a century in the harsh environment of space, occasional anomalies were expected, even normal. But when she examined the data more closely, the pattern became impossible to dismiss. The plasma wave instrument had detected a wake, a disturbance in the thin gas of interstellar space that looked exactly like what you'd see when an object moves through a fluid medium, like a boat cutting through water, leaving ripples behind it. Except there are no boats in interstellar space, and whatever created this wake was moving fast, very fast. Dr. Martinez ran the calculations 3 times, certain she'd made an error. The object, whatever it was, appeared to be traveling at approximately 87,000 kilometers per hour relative to the background interstellar medium. That's fast, but not impossibly so. Comets can reach such speeds when falling toward the sun. Rogue asteroids ejected from star systems can achieve similar velocities. What made this object impossible was its trajectory. It wasn't moving in a straight line, as natural objects do when traveling through empty space. It was curving, changing direction, adjusting its path in ways that required force, energy, and propulsion. Natural objects don't do that. They follow ballistic trajectories determined by gravity and momentum. They don't steer. Dr. Martinez flagged the data and sent it to Dr. James Kepler, Voyager's mission scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. She included a simple note. "We need to talk about this. I think Voyager found something." Dr. Kepler reviewed the plasma data within hours. His first instinct matched Dr. Martinez's: instrument error, sensor degradation, data corruption. He pulled up Voyager's engineering telemetry, checking the health of the plasma wave subsystem. Everything appeared normal. The instrument was functioning exactly as designed, reporting consistent data with no signs of malfunction. That meant the wake was real. Something had moved through the space near Voyager, disturbing the interstellar plasma enough for the spacecraft's sensors to detect it. But what? And more importantly, where was it now? Dr. Kepler assembled a small team to analyze the phenomenon. They started by trying to rule out natural explanations. Could it be a comet fragment, outgassing and creating thrust as ice sublimated in the faint heat of distant starlight? The calculations didn't support it. At Voyager's distance from the Sun, there wasn't enough solar energy to drive meaningful outgassing. Could it be a rogue planet, ejected from its home star system and wandering through interstellar space? Possibly, But rogue planets move in straight lines. They don't curve. They don't adjust course. Could it be an effect of Voyager's own movement creating an illusion of external motion? The team modeled Voyager's trajectory and eliminated that possibility. The wake was external, independent, and real. Then, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, a specialist in gravitational dynamics, noticed something that made the situation even stranger. When she plotted the object's trajectory based on the plasma disturbances, the path didn't just curve, it curved toward Voyager. The object had changed direction in a way that brought it closer to the spacecraft, as if it were approaching deliberately. "Natural objects don't hunt," Dr. Okonkwo said quietly during a team meeting. "They drift, they fall, they follow orbits, but this thing adjusted its course to intersect with Voyager. That requires awareness, targeting, and propulsion." The word propulsion hung in the air like a verdict. If this object had propulsion, it was technology. And if it was technology in interstellar space, 15 billion miles from Earth, it wasn't ours. The team made a decision. Before reporting the finding more widely, they needed more data. Voyager 1's instruments were limited, designed to study particles and magnetic fields, not to image or track objects. But the spacecraft had one more tool, its magnetometer, which measured magnetic field strength and direction. If the object had any kind of magnetic signature, the magnetometer might detect it. Dr. Kepler sent a command to Voyager, instructing the spacecraft to orient its magnetometer toward the region where the plasma wake originated. The command took 22 hours to reach Voyager. The response took another 22 hours to return. In that 44-hour window, the team waited, running simulations, analyzing historical data, and trying to prepare for what they might find. When Voyager's data arrived, it confirmed the impossible. The magnetometer had detected a magnetic field, localized, moving, and far stronger than the ambient interstellar background. The field had structure, with organized loops and fluctuations that suggested it was being generated, not naturally occurring. And it was getting closer. Dr. Martinez plotted the magnetic field readings over time. The object was now within 500,000 kilometers of Voyager and closing. At its current speed, it would pass within visual range, if Voyager had functioning cameras, in less than 48 hours. But Voyager's cameras had been shut down in 1990 to conserve power. The spacecraft was blind. It could measure fields, particles, and waves, but it couldn't see. "We're about to have a close encounter with something unknown," Dr. Kepler said, "and we can't even look at it." The team activated every functioning instrument on Voyager 1. The cosmic ray detector, the low-energy charged particle sensor, even the ultraviolet spectrometer that had been dormant for years. Everything was brought online to capture whatever was about to happen. And then they waited. 48 hours passed with agonizing slowness. Data trickled back from Voyager at the speed of light, delayed by the vast distance. And then, as predicted, the object arrived. Voyager's instruments went wild. The magnetometer recorded a massive spike in magnetic field strength, thousands of times higher than the interstellar background. The plasma detector measured a sudden increase in charged particles, as if the object were surrounded by its own envelope of ionized gas. The cosmic ray instrument registered a brief, intense burst of high-energy particles, far more than normal cosmic background radiation. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the object was gone. The magnetic field dropped back to baseline. The plasma disturbances faded. The cosmic ray flux returned to normal. Whatever had approached Voyager had passed by and continued into the darkness. The entire encounter lasted 11 minutes, but in those 11 minutes, Voyager had collected data that would keep scientists awake for months. Dr. Okonkwo analyzed the magnetic field measurements first. What she found was astonishing. The field wasn't chaotic or random. It had structure, symmetry, and organization. The magnetic loops were evenly spaced, like the field around a solenoid or an engineered electromagnet. "This looks designed," she said. "Natural magnetic fields don't have this kind of regularity. This is what you'd expect from a machine." Dr. Martinez focused on the plasma data. The charged particles surrounding the object weren't distributed randomly. They formed layers, shells of different densities nested within each other. She compared the pattern to human spacecraft. When a probe moves through space, it creates a similar effect. Its own magnetic field interacts with ambient plasma, creating structured regions around it. "This object is doing the same thing," Dr. Martinez concluded. "It's moving through interstellar space with an active magnetic field, creating a protective bubble around itself. Exactly like a spacecraft would." Then came the most disturbing discovery. Dr. Nathan Joe, analyzing the cosmic ray data, found something embedded in the particle burst that Voyager had recorded. Hidden within the noise was a pattern, a sequence of high-energy particles arriving in specific intervals. When he plotted the timing, the intervals weren't random. They followed a mathematical sequence: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, prime numbers. The first 6 primes transmitted in the span of a few seconds through modulated cosmic ray emissions. "This is a signal," Dr. Joe said, his voice shaking slightly. "Not electromagnetic, not radio, a signal encoded in high-energy particles. And it's using prime numbers, the same thing we'd use to demonstrate intelligence to an alien civilization." The implication was unavoidable. The object that had passed Voyager wasn't just a machine, it was communicating. It had deliberately transmitted a mathematical proof of intelligence as it flew by. Whether it was greeting Voyager, acknowledging it, or simply announcing its presence, the intent was clear. "I am here, and I am aware." The team now faced an impossible decision. Do they report this finding publicly, knowing it would trigger global attention, speculation, and potentially panic? Or do they keep it restricted, verifying and re-verifying until they were absolutely certain? Dr. Kepler made the call. The data would remain classified as under review until they could gather corroborating evidence. But they would continue monitoring Voyager for any additional signs of the object, or others like it. What they found in the following weeks was both reassuring and deeply unsettling. The object didn't return. Voyager's instruments detected no further close encounters, no additional plasma wakes, no magnetic anomalies. Whatever had passed by appeared to have continued on its journey without further interaction. But when the team reviewed older Voyager data, years of archived telemetry, they found something they'd missed before. Faint signatures of similar encounters, buried in the noise, overlooked because no one had been looking for them. In 2012, shortly after Voyager entered interstellar space, there had been a brief magnetic anomaly, dismissed at the time as instrument noise. In 2017, another plasma disturbance attributed to fluctuations in the interstellar medium. In 2020, a cosmic ray spike, explained as a random high-energy event. But when Dr. Zhou analyzed these old anomalies with the new context, patterns emerged. Each event showed traces of the same organized magnetic fields, the same structured plasma envelopes, the same particle emissions. Voyager hadn't encountered one object in 2023. It had been passing through a region of space populated by multiple objects, possibly dozens, all moving, all active, all invisible to conventional detection. "We've been flying through someone's neighborhood," Dr. Martinez said quietly, "and we didn't even know it." The team expanded their analysis to Voyager 2, Voyager 1's twin spacecraft following a different trajectory through the outer solar system. If these objects were widespread in interstellar space, Voyager 2 might have encountered them as well. The data was reviewed, and the findings were identical. Voyager 2 had recorded similar anomalies, plasma disturbances, magnetic spikes, cosmic ray bursts, all dismissed individually but collectively painting a picture of frequent encounters with unidentified objects. Dr. Kepler compiled a report summarizing the findings. Both Voyager spacecraft have encountered multiple instances of fast-moving, magnetically active objects in interstellar space. These objects demonstrate non-ballistic trajectories, organized magnetic field structures, and evidence of deliberate particle emissions consistent with communication or signaling. Origin unknown. Nature unknown. Intent unknown. The report was submitted to NASA's senior leadership, triggering a quiet cascade of briefings and consultations. The discovery was too significant to ignore, but too uncertain to announce. More data was needed. More verification, more understanding. Meanwhile, the team continued monitoring Voyager. And then, 3 months after the initial encounter, something changed. Voyager's instruments detected another plasma wake, but this time the pattern was different. The object wasn't passing by. It was pacing, staying alongside Voyager, matching the spacecraft's velocity and trajectory, not approaching, not retreating, just traveling in parallel, as if observing. Dr. Okonkwo tracked the object's position over several days. It maintained a constant distance of approximately 200,000 kilometers from Voyager, close enough to monitor, far enough to avoid interference. "It's shadowing us," she said, following Voyager as it moves through interstellar space. But why would something follow a 46-year-old human spacecraft through the void? What could Voyager possibly offer that would interest an intelligence capable of interstellar travel? Dr. Martinez proposed a theory. Voyager is the first human-made object to enter interstellar space. It's carrying the golden record, a message from Earth, sounds and images representing humanity. Maybe whoever built these objects intercepted that message. Maybe they're curious. Maybe they're studying us by studying what we sent into the stars. The golden record, launched in 1977, attached to both Voyager spacecraft, it contained greetings in 55 languages, music from around the world, sounds of Earth, and images of human civilization. It was humanity's message in a bottle, cast into the cosmic ocean with the hope that someday, someone might find it. What if someone had? What if the object shadowing Voyager was a response? A probe sent to examine the strange artifact from a species just beginning to explore beyond its home world. The implications were staggering. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence might not be a dramatic arrival of ships or a radio transmission. It might be this, a silent, invisible encounter in the darkness between stars, where our oldest spacecraft was being quietly studied by something we couldn't see. Dr. Joe continued analyzing the particle emissions from the shadowing object. Over weeks of observation, he detected additional prime number sequences, as well as more complex mathematical patterns, Fibonacci sequences, pi approximations, and geometric progressions. The object was broadcasting continuously, using high-energy particles as a communication medium. "It's talking," Dr. Joe said. "We just don't understand the language yet, but it's definitely trying to communicate." Dr. Kepler assembled a larger team, bringing in experts in cryptography, linguistics, and information theory. The goal? Decode the signals, find meaning in the mathematical transmissions, and determine if there was a way to respond. Because if this object was attempting communication, humanity had an obligation to try to answer. But how do you respond to an intelligence that speaks in cosmic ray bursts from 15 billion miles away? The team explored options. Voyager had limited power and no high-energy particle emitters. It couldn't match the object's communication method, but it did have radio transmitters, old, weak, but functional. A proposal was drafted: send a radio transmission from Voyager toward the shadowing object, modulated with the same mathematical sequences it had been broadcasting. Mirror its message, demonstrating understanding and the desire to communicate. The proposal required approval from NASA's highest levels, as it represented humanity's first deliberate attempt to contact an unknown intelligence. The decision was escalated, debated, analyzed for risks and benefits, and ultimately approved. On a cold morning in March 2024, commands were sent to Voyager 1. The spacecraft oriented its radio antenna toward the estimated position of the shadowing object and transmitted a carefully crafted message. Prime numbers, Fibonacci sequences, pi, the same mathematical constants the object had been broadcasting, now echoed back in radio waves. The transmission was brief, lasting only 10 minutes, before Voyager's limited power reserves required shutting down the transmitter. And then, the wait. It would take 22 hours for the transmission to reach the object. If the object responded, it would take another 22 hours for that response to reach Earth. 44 hours of uncertainty, anticipation, and hope. The team monitored Voyager's instruments continuously. When the 44-hour mark passed, they held their collective breath. And then, Voyager's cosmic ray detector registered a response. Not just another mathematical sequence, but something more complex. A burst of particles arranged in patterns that, when decoded, formed a two-dimensional array. Dr. Joe plotted the array on a screen. The team stared in silence. It was an image. Crude, pixelated, but unmistakably representational. A circle with 8 smaller circles around it, arranged at different distances. A star with planets. A solar system. And one of the smaller circles was marked differently. Highlighted, emphasized. The third circle from the center. Earth. The object knew. It knew where Voyager came from. It knew about our solar system, our planet, our place in the universe. And it was showing us that it understood. Dr. Martinez felt tears forming. This wasn't just communication. It was recognition. Across the vast emptiness of space, separated by distances that light took days to cross, 2 intelligences had made contact. One ancient, capable, and mysterious. The other young, curious, and reaching into the unknown. For the first time in human history, we were not alone. Not in theory, not in speculation, but in measurable, undeniable fact. Voyager had found something, and that something had found us. The team sent additional transmissions, more complex images, mathematical proofs, physical constants. Each time the object responded, matching the complexity, demonstrating understanding, building a shared language of science and mathematics. Over months, a dialogue emerged, halting, slow, limited by distance and the constraints of ancient technology, but real. Humanity was talking to the stars, and the stars were answering. But questions remained. Where did this object come from? How long had it been traveling through interstellar space? Was it alone, or part of a larger network of probes exploring the galaxy? And most pressing, would it, or its creators, ever make direct contact? Or would this distant conversation be the extent of our interaction? Dr. Kepler compiled a new report, this time for the President of the United States and international leaders. Voyager 1 has established communication with an unidentified object of non-human origin in interstellar space. The object demonstrates advanced technology and intelligence. Contact is ongoing. Recommend preparation for broader disclosure and potential next steps. The report triggered a global response. Scientists, governments, and international organizations convened to discuss protocols for continued contact, messages to send, and preparations for what might come next. Humanity had crossed a threshold. The question was no longer, "Are we alone?" but, "What do we do now that we know we're not?" As Voyager drifted through the darkness, still transmitting, still listening, the object remained alongside it, shadowing, observing, communicating. Two artifacts of intelligent civilizations meeting in the void between stars, bridging the impossible distance with mathematics, physics, and the universal language of curiosity. For all that we've learned, one question remains unanswered. When will they decide to show themselves? Thanks for watching another episode. While you're still here, make sure to click the video on your screen for more quality content.